Hello there, and welcome to another episode of WFAN Daily with your host, Pete Hoffman. Congratulations to the New York Mets and eliminating the was it Fab 4, Fab 5, whatever it is, but Brandon Nimmo, gone. Pete Alonso doesn't come back. Edwin Diaz somehow gets involved with this, and he's gone. And now finally, Jeff McNeil is the final piece of this puzzle that has now left the building. And let's be fair, Jeff McNeil for the past few years has been ineffective. Yes, he may have been a versatile piece, a versatile utility piece at times with the New York Mets, but his effectiveness was gone as soon as he signed that 4-year deal. He was basically a shell of himself. He had the batting title in hand, and everyone clapped and clamored and said, you know what, this is, you got to keep him, you got to bring him back. And instead it turned into bringing him back and him being a complete and utter zero. That's really what it was. It was a prima donna Jeff McNeil that was took up a solid second base position that Luis Angel Acuna was playing up until McNeil came back from injury last year. And we had to see him out there not being able to be as defensively minded and defensively gifted as Luis Angel Acuna. His bat was basically, unless he would look like he was golfing a ball that was about to hit the dirt, he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't walking. He wasn't stealing. He wasn't making contact to get base hits. He was a big old zero, in my book at least, for the New York Mets. And it's unfortunate that you lump Jeff McNeil in with guys like Pete Alonso, Edwin Diaz, and even a Brandon Nimmo. I critical of Brandon Nimmo a lot, but only because of what the expectations were for Brandon Nimmo, and Brandon Nimmo just is not that guy. Jeff McNeil, we all knew never was that guy, never was that high level, second baseman. You just thought that, hey, like what we see right now in Luis Ariz, where it's like, oh, the guy's just a contact hitter. He's not going to hit from power, but he's going to play a solid defense, and he's going to make contact, and he's going to get on base. And that's what you need. And maybe he'll come through in a big hit. Maybe he'll come through in a big spot. You never know. You know what the demise of, or the breaking point of Jeff McNeil was? And I hate to say it, but it sounds like it's just too easy coincides. It was the shift. The banning of the shift turned Jeff McNeil into a less than average ball player, because with the shift, they were able to have these exaggerated, he's going to pull the ball to the right side, so we'll leave a little hole to the left. And Jeff McNeil would then just place the ball places. That's what he did. That's what he was great at. He was able to find those little holes or those big holes that the defenses gave him. There is no such thing as a big hole anymore. The holes have been minimized, and Jeff McNeil has basically become useless. And it's unfortunate, but hey, he is no longer here. And this just goes to show how desperate David Stearns, even though he was sitting there saying, he'll play first base, he'll go out there and, play some outfield if needed, maybe second base, whatever, utility guy. This is how desperate the Mets were to get rid of Jeff McNeil. They traded him to the A's with a bag of cash of $5.75 million to go to the A's just so they can get a player back, right? They got a 17-year-old player in Yordan Rodriguez. He's a pitcher. Who knows what he's going to be? But they had to give a bag of cash and a veteran player for even a sniff of something that may be turning into something in like 5 years. I mean, that's how low Jeff McNeil's value has turned since since he signed that contract and since the shift has been banned. It's just amazing. And here's the other thing too. We know about the attitude. We know about what we saw on the field, him throwing helmets, him getting upset whenever he would, pop out or ground out or strike out. His attitude was always, and I'm not saying that he was putting it out on like the fans or his teammates, but his attitude was always like damn it. What the hell? And it was just like, dude, yeah, we all feel that. What the hell? Fix it. Because actions speak louder than words. And his actions are frustration. And he never fixed it. He never found a way to figure it out in the past 3 years. Again, he did have that one season just before he signed where it was, oh my goodness, won the batting title. Amazing. And he fell off since then. What changed? And why did he not figure out a way to fix it? That's the bigger question. If that's who listen, he's a golfer, he loves going golfing, and that's what you saw from his swing after a while was like he's just going golfing at the plate. And maybe that hurt his swing. And maybe he had to figure out a way to be like, I can't go golfing anymore. I got to cut back on that. I'm a great golfer. I need to be a better hitter. But that didn't happen. That did not happen, and we witnessed a terrible 3 years of Jeff McNeil, and thank goodness he's gone. Let's be serious, because not only is his anger issues gone, but now the clubhouse is basically clean, right? I mean, you got rid of Brandon Nimmo, who was the happiest guy in the entire world and blessed to be here, but he's gone. Edwin Diaz, who just seemed like a ball of positivity, even after getting injured, just a nice guy, whatever, he's gone. Brandon Nimmo not Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso may not be the most chattiest guy in the world, but he certainly was a goofball. He was just, his personality wasn't perfect, but it was nothing that was combative. He's gone. The one person that you could say was actually a jackass was Jeff McNeil. And why? Well, listen, he clearly didn't get along with Francisco Lindor. There was plenty of fights last year. We clearly know about the raccoon thing from the first year together where, clearly Lindor and McNeil didn't get along from the jump, and yet they kept on force-feeding that. Now, here's the thing, right? I've heard from plenty of people be like, you know what? It doesn't make a difference about the locker room. It doesn't make a difference how personalities fit. All this stuff doesn't really make a difference because in the end, as long as they perform well enough together, as long as the job's getting done, that's all that matters. But Jeff McNeil didn't do the job. He didn't do the job. He wasn't effective. He actually made a ton of errors. Like we talk about Pete Alonso's errors. Jeff McNeil made a ton of bad plays. He defensively I know there was one game last year versus the Yankees that he basically, in the ninth inning, he basically saved the day. He hit a home run earlier in the game and then, made two nice defensive plays. So it was like, okay, great. That looked good. But for the most part, other players like Luis Angel Acuna were much better at second base than Jeff McNeil were. But yet he was being force-fed out there at second base. He got force-fed out there in center field, left field. I mean, they were just basically they were dying to find a place to play him because I guess they were paying him. So they felt like they had to do it. It was a waste of time. And they couldn't find a spot for him. And now he gets to go to the Athletics, who, by the way, I'm not trying to say anything at all about, their pitching is crap, but their offense is a juggernaut. I'm not telling you Jeff McNeil is about to go off with the A's, but that is a team that offensively is gifted. They might elevate his game. I'm just saying. And that ballpark that they play in Sacramento, it's a minor league ballpark. It's like it's a bandbox. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if Jeff McNeil goes from like 10 home runs to 20 home runs and he hits for like a higher average, drives in like 70 RBIs, and he's like a FU to David Stearns, Steve Cohen, and the rest of the New York Mets fan base. I wouldn't be surprised. But that's neither here nor there. They got rid of the core of this team. And I heard a quote from Pete Alonso earlier today. He was on foul territory, and I think it was wasn't AJ Przynski. It was the other guy. Now I'm blanking on the name of former catcher. Either way, he was asked if he was surprised about Pete Alonso was asked if he was surprised about not coming back to the Mets and how they basically got rid of this core. And he was shocked, it sounded like, because to his point of view, to Pete Alonso's point of view, from what he said was, we missed the playoffs by one game. That's it. Now, he said that, there was a ton of injuries and all this other stuff going on, and maybe that's why they weren't able to be as perfect and win more games. But the point is, Pete Alonso said we were so close. We missed by one game, and of making the playoffs in 2025, and then they basically get rid of everybody. Yeah. Now, he didn't really want to get too deep into it. He seemed like he was still fresh. This wound was still fresh. But to him, I don't think he thought that the New York Mets were ready to just basically rebuild, which is what they're doing. You could say reshuffle, rebuild, whatever it is, but they are flipping this thing around. Okay? And yeah, the payroll's still high. I'm not sitting there criticizing Steve Cohen for the payroll. I'm not doing that at all. I'm not bugging out and being like, oh, payroll is going to be super low now. No, you have Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor, two of the higher paid players in baseball. What I would like to see is a balanced roster, and that's what I think David Stearns is trying to do. I don't agree with how he's doing it. Marcus Semien, to me, is not balanced when you say Marcus Semien for Brandon Nimmo. Like, let's put it this way. Jorge Polanco basically combines with Brandon Nimmo's contract. It was $20 million a year. So they line up, right? Marcus Semien would be a little bit less than what Pete Alonso's making. Let's be fair. So it's kind of stupid that we're sitting there and say we're balancing it out and we got a better defensive second baseman. We're overpaying him. He has no offense anymore. He's basically dead weight. He's basically Jeff McNeil with, a higher upside. Better defensive player. So for sure, defensively much better, but offensively higher upside than Jeff McNeil, higher upside than maybe a Brandon Nimmo, but definitely lost a step. And he's still overpaid. So there's going to be moves that are going to come. I mean, this cannot be the team that we see at the start of 2026. You want to know why? They haven't touched the pitching yet. Bullpen they have. Yes, obviously Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, we see that. They haven't touched the starting pitching, which we know was a main cog to last year. That's the reason why the Mets were so bad. They're starting pitching. They have Clay Holmes. They have Sean Manaea. They have Kodai Senga if they want to keep him, if they don't trade him away. David Peterson. This is what we're going to work with? Yes, Nolan McClain is there. But, I mean, there are major issues with the pitching staff, and they have not been addressed yet. And now you got a hole in left field and center field. Because now McNeil's not even there to play. They were joking around. Well, not joking, but they were trying to say McNeil could play left field or center field or first base. Well, now he's gone. Now it's basically Tyrone Taylor and nobody else. Carson Bench maybe going to start. There is so much left to this Mets team to build to 2026. I don't think they have enough pieces to do it, to go out there and sign free agents. I don't think they're going to go, big swinging for like a Cody Bellinger or a Kyle Tucker. I definitely don't think Kyle Tucker's coming here. That is a guarantee. That is the one thing I guarantee. Maybe they find a way to sniff out Cody Bellinger. Maybe they somehow beat out the Yankees for Cody Bellinger. But Kyle Tucker is not coming to the New York Mets. And David Stearns is not going to offer him a 10-year deal. It's just not happening. Pitching-wise, I'm confused at who they're looking at. I don't even know who they're looking at anymore. It's Luis Robert Jr. And it's funny, I saw somebody else put this out there too. It's like the Luis Robert Jr. thing might not be as real as we think it would be. And that makes sense to me because I'll tell you why. If you look at David Stearns and Steve Cohen specifically, Steve Cohen, since he's taken over the Mets, things have been completely shut as far as rumors go. You don't know what's going to happen until it happens. Did we know that Jeff McNeil was getting traded to the A's? No. We didn't even think he was being shopped, according to guys like Andy Martino. I think Tim Healy had it. It's like, oh, it looks like they're really considering Jeff McNeil to play first base. Now that they traded away Nimmo and Alonso didn't re-sign, and sounds like McNeil's going to be a part of this team for next year. And then, boom, he's gone. Nimmo, we didn't know that Nimmo. I was on the trade block. I didn't know he actually was getting traded. We didn't find out until we found out. Alonso, we didn't hear a sniff. We just heard, there was a 3-year offer. That's about it. But there was nothing else. Diaz, same thing. There was no rumors at all. But all we keep on hearing about is Luis Robert Jr. Luis Robert Jr. The Mets are really interested in Luis Robert Jr. The more we hear that, the less likely I think that the Mets get Luis Robert Jr. because the Mets don't leak information like that. Maybe they'll make somebody else outbid for Luis Robert Jr. Hey, I'll give a small ransom for Luis Robert Jr. because I really want him. If the Mets want him, we're going to steal Luis Robert Jr. from the Mets. And maybe the Mets have an eye on somebody else. Like Ketel Marte, which is what another rumor is. So that's not going to happen either. So at this point in time, the two rumors out there are Ketel Marte and Luis Robert Jr., and my guess is neither of them happen. I'm still hoping that they can find a way to get Tariq Skubal if they can sign him too and lock him up. I'm not signing Tariq Skubal just to sign him, to trade for him and give up, two mansions, a left foot, and however much you want to give, your firstborn. I'm not doing that for Tariq Skubal for a year of him. Scott Boras is going to send him to free agency, then I don't want him. I'm sorry. At this point, with the way that you're rebuilding this entire team, you're going to all of a sudden give up everybody on your roster to get Tariq Skubal here for a year? That doesn't make any sense. It's not a win-now team. Right now, the Mets are not a win-now team. They are not even a playoff team. That's how bad they are right now. It's not complete, but they are not complete. That's the problem. They are not a complete picture. And if they were to start today, they would not make the playoffs. There's just no doubt about it. I know what David Stearns is doing. When we talk about the money aspect and Steve Cohen, understand Steve Cohen has no problem flipping the bill, putting down a blank check and doing what he needs to do. David Stearns is forming his team, forming it his way. He believes in a certain thing, and it's not what the Mets fans want to hear. Mets fans want to hear, we want big stars, we want big-time moves, we want to be competitive, and the way that we think we're going to be competitive is to get the best players available. That makes sense, and I believe in that too. I'm all about that. I'm all about, hey, if Kyle Tucker fell in our lap and we signed him, I'm all good with that. But David Stearns is thinking about the next 3-4 years, that in the next 3 years, a guy like, Francisco Lindor could be traded. Like, I don't even believe that Francisco Lindor is going to run on his contract here. I don't believe that Juan Soto is going to finish his contract here. That's how, short-sighted I feel about how David Stearns is. It's more about in the near future. Let's turn these contracts around. We'll try to win as much now as possible, which I don't think is a real winning philosophy. It's just do our best with what we can have available. And then eventually the prospects that I bring up here are going to be better, and we don't have to spend as much money. That is the goal. Have a team that you don't have to invest as much money into, except for maybe the one or two special players, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor. But again, and now that's what the team is kind of turning into, by the way, right? We talked about the locker room being a little bit not as perfect as we wanted it to be, right? There was cracks in the locker room, not as far as leaks, but as far as personalities go. It wasn't a perfect locker room. Well, now you got Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor basically head-to-head. Both are talking about being a captain. I mean, that was part of the reason why Nimmo, I think, is gone, right? Because he wanted to be a captain. He wasn't happy about Lindor wanted to be a captain. Well, now it's Lindor and Soto. Not saying that Soto said he wants to be a captain, but Starling Marte or Lindor's, Soto sure point out Starling Marte as being a potential captain, being the real captain of this team, and not Francisco Lindor. So if it's Lindor versus Soto, we got issues. Because you can't have a season where two guys are going to go head-to-head trying to be the leaders of the team and have to fight over it. That's not beneficial. I'm not telling you have to have a perfect team where everyone's friends and everyone goes out and hangs out and have barbecues together. But on the other hand, too, you can't have two huge names, Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, be head-to-head all season long. And I feel like that's where we're at right now, because now you trim the fat. Now you got rid of McNeil. You got rid of Nimmo. You got rid of Diaz. You got rid of Alonso. I mean, who else is left that's quote unquote negative? Who else is like, I don't know. So it's now Soto versus Lindor. Think about that. It's not even Mets versus whatever team. It's Soto versus Lindor. If that's what the 2026 season is going to be like, I'm expecting that one of these two guys is not going to finish their tenure with the Mets here. And it's probably going to be Francisco Lindor. It is not a done offseason, but I am not jumping up and down for what they've been doing. I am happy that we moved on from Jeff McNeil, because that's the one part. Like when they got rid of Alonso and they got rid of Edwin Diaz, it's like you let two pieces that actually didn't cause the New York Mets to lose walk away. Jeff McNeil has been an issue. Brendan Nimmo physically has been an issue. Like the bullpen was a major issue. The starting pitching was a major issue. So the fact that you let Nimmo and Diaz just walk away, it's like, what are you guys doing? How are you building a roster where the two of the actual good pieces you just let go, and you haven't replaced them? I mean, what, Jorge Polanco? I mean, come on, what are we doing here? That's my concern, is that they haven't actually attacked the pieces that they need to go to and fix. The outfield was terrible last year. It was basically Juan Soto, Tyrone Taylor, who should not be playing every day in center field, and Brandon Nimmo in left field. That's not a great outfield. It's just not. And now you subtracted from that. You've gotten rid of pieces in the outfield. It doesn't make sense. And it won't until spring training starts. And then we sit there and go, oh, that's what you did. I believe that David Stearns has a vision. I don't agree with that vision, but I will let it play out and cross my fingers that he is as smart as he thinks he is. Jeff McNeil, I'm happy that he's moved on from. That was a positive. I'm still questioning about Brandon Nimmo and well, not Brandon Nimmo. I'm still questioning about Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz, and I'm still waiting for that pitching. I am still waiting for the starting pitching. But at least we've moved on from Jeff McNeil. So that's a win. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to another episode of WFAN Daily. You could always follow me, and please do, at Hoff WFAN on X, Instagram, on TikTok. I put videos out there. I put pictures out there. I put annoying, posts out there just for your pleasure. That's what I do. There's a new episode of Rico Bronya out as well. If you have not listened to that, please go do that. I will be back with Moose 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Tuesday, December 23rd. And then I am off until my my overnight shift on Saturday morning, December 27th. I think those are the dates. I'm just trying to get it right. Saturday, December 27th. I think it's from midnight to 5. If not, it's 2 to 5. Either way, I'll be doing a Saturday morning show. Then I'm going to go to Vegas. Yes. Las Vegas with the battle of number one. Who is number one? The Las Vegas Raiders or the New York Giants? Because whoever wins that game is going to be number 2 in the NFL draft. And you want to lose that game. If the New York Giants lose to the Raiders, even if they by accidentally beat the Dallas Cowboys in Week 18, they still get the number 1 draft pick. And isn't that beautiful? Isn't that what you want? It's a beautiful thing. The Jets should be jealous right now. The Jets are going to have to give up a ton of draft picks to get that number 1 pick, to get Mendoza, which, no offense, I don't think anybody should really be going for right now, because as always, there's a hot item at number one, who's the quarterback, how many of those work out, especially for the New York Jets? But we'll dive into that more tomorrow on WFAN Daily. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And then, again, reminder, January 5th, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. on WFAN, on YouTube, maybe. Definitely on SNY, 4 o'clock on SNY. The Craig Carton Show with Chris McMonagle. And I will be there as well to better serve them and have some fun as we'll do a radio show. Let's go. I'm excited for it. When the new year starts, January 5th. It's Monday, January 5th on WFAN. But again, thank you for listening. Thank you for following. And I will see you guys later. And at the end of the day, let's go Mets. Let's go New York. Let's try to win a championship. New York Knicks are getting there. They have the squad. They have it. Now let's go out and win it. All right, boys and girls and whomever, animals, dogs, cats, whoever. I'll see you guys later. Peace.